So, welcome to another great Lunch and Learn. I'm Alexa Francis House, your host here with the Purchasing Division. And today's session is going to be very interesting. If you are someone who is frequently in PeopleSoft financials, you're not going to want to miss. Our main presenter today is Irina Greenberg. And there are several of us who are involved with PeopleSoft, so you'll see that on the slide here that we have called our team. But I'm going to go ahead and ask Irina to go ahead and come on camera, wave, so you can kind of see her face. There's Irina. And Irina, if you want to go ahead and start sharing your presentation. As always, guys, if you have any burning questions, feel free to go ahead and type them in the chat. Let me clarify any burning questions based on what is being presented. We're also going to be launching a very exciting program in the month of April. We'll talk about that towards the end, but without further ado, Irina.
Thank you, Alexa. Again, good morning, actually, good afternoon, everyone. And today we're going to talk about some fundamental aspects of PeopleSoft back to basics. Our agenda today, it's welcome everyone and session objectives. And actually, Alexa just briefly described what this lunch and learn is created for. You will meet our team who put together this presentation. We'll go over what is the PeopleSoft financials and found out some of the most fundamental functional areas. We'll talk about the practical lookups and dashboards, how you can look things up in PeopleSoft, common errors and resolutions. And as Alexa just mentioned, during the month of April, we will be leading the upcoming the PeopleSoft breakfast lunch lessons, and we will provide you with a contact list who you can contact in case you have questions, specific questions. So our team, myself, Irina, I'm an IT administrator, and on my team, Siraj and Miriam, who also involved very heavily in PeopleSoft. We have Scott Mercer, but he is on the Contract Central side. That's why we put here just people who are involved in PeopleSoft development and support. And a member of our board's team who were helping with this presentation is Alexa, Debbie, and Shalom. PeopleSoft financial overview. What are the core modules, how they connect, roles, permissions, and workflow routing, and key navigation tips and shortcuts. So PeopleSoft, we're working, all of us today, with PeopleSoft, who's on financial side, PeopleSoft financials and supply chain management. And why we're talking about the core modules. So sometimes they call it procure to pay. It's a life cycle of the procurement from agency initiating the requisition, and it could be a catalog or special requisition. Then that is being sourced in the purchase orders, which belongs to the purchasing module. Then the purchase order being dispatched to the vendors, and at that point, the agencies can create receipts, which is a receiving module that falls under purchasing. And then the vendors submit invoices, and accounts payable is creating vouchers and then creating payment to the vendors. So those are the core modules. Of course, we have treasury, we have banking, we have asset management as additional financial modules. But the core module where we are talking about the life cycle of the procurement item is e-procurement all the way through accounts payable. Roles, permissions, and workflow routing. Whenever you start working with PeopleSoft, you belong to a certain group, and you're being assigned a specific roles that allow you to perform your day-to-day operations. But those roles defined whether you can modify certain things, creating a requisition, managing it, or creating a purchase order and perform different actions with the purchase orders, creating receipts and voucher. But at the same time, the other items you do have access, but in the view only, read only mode, which allows you to look certain things up. You can look up the contract information. You can look up the purchase order information. You can look up the voucher information. Permissions. Um, Permissions more allow you to belong when you belong to a specific agency. That permission allows you, the permission list allows you to see just business units and work with certain items that belong only to your business units or set of business units. Workflow, you know that when requisition is created, it needs to be approved. So the workflow is generated, and that workflow is generated based on the various criterias. At the agency, you have level one, level two approvers. Sometimes, if it's specific commodity, specific items categories like computers and laptops, they're being routed to the ETS. Let's say the something that is purchased, the item is 5,000 and more. That can involve the asset account and to look at and to approve that purchase. So that's the workflow. The key navigation tips and shortcuts. We will be talking about them when we will go through our breakfast sessions to show what is the how you can navigate in a system. And the shortcuts could be your tiles on the front page, on the home page. When you log in, you will have a way to customize your home page. You can add tiles for the most frequently accessed items. Then you can navigate using the navigation bar, and there you have options. You can add certain areas to the favorites. You can also view the navigation, the menus listed in under the navigation bar in alphabetical order or in standard. It all depends on the preferences. So I was talking about foundational functional areas that part of procure to pay. So you have purchasing modules where you can there are requisitions, purchase orders, and everything is subject to approval. Accounts payable and the basics or the vouchers that are created based on the invoice that the supplier is sending to accounts payable. There is a matching process that is making sure that the vendor is the same on the voucher that is on the purchase order, the units of measure the same, and many other attributes that exist on both on purchasing, on the receiving side, and on the voucher side, and of course creating payments. General ledger overview. As you know, all of you who worked with the requisition or purchase orders, you know that there is a distribution line exists on every single requisition line or purchase order line or the receipt or voucher. They're all the same. We are always and you hear us talking sometimes about the data integrity. Those are the controls in place that allow the data flow seamlessly between all the transactions from the requisition to the vouchers. And when it gets to the voucher, that's when the expense entry being created and the voucher gets posted, the financial information goes into general ledger via journals. There could be general ledger journals based on the vouchers. There could be also the budget journals because, as you know, We hear everything is controlled by the commitment control, and so every fiscal year there is the OMB Office of Management and Budget assigns specific chart fields to the agencies, and you can only use these chart fields to create your transactions from, and then it flows from requisition to the vouchers. And you can you have an ability to run the inquiry, either go to inquiry page or navigate to a specific journal and look up that information if necessary. And then of course we have vendors. There is no procurement, there is no payments if it doesn't have vendors. And we're working on the financial side, on the procurement side, we're working with all suppliers that have to be open for purchasing, because the employees can be also listed as vendors, same as we can have vendors on the HR side. But specifically for the procurement, we call interchangeably their vendors and or suppliers. In order to be suppliers, they need to be to have one of their attributes checked for ordering. So sometimes when purchase order cannot be created because that supplier might not be checked available for ordering. Um, if we're talking about lookups and dashboards, we have multiple way of looking at the data. The PeopleSoft provides you various reporting tools. The most common reporting tool is a query. Then there are also some delivered reports that PeopleSoft provide, or it's customly created. Those reports are more complex, more graphical. They are being created using other tools. There could be Envision reports, there could be BI Publisher reports. Actually, for example, all of you have seen a purchase order. It's a report. It's just a graphical representation of the data that is residing in PeopleSoft, and via one of the reporting tools, that report is being generated, including the graphical, including the various sections as well, and also the signature areas. The procurement dashboard, you will be able to see even from this presentation that you will have access to. You can click on procurement dashboard, and for the agencies other than multiple, yes, Alexa.
No, go ahead. I was just going to mention to everyone that we will be sharing a copy of today's presentation. And when we do, that link to the procurement dashboard is actually a live link. I also wanted to do a shameless plug here that Irina gave a really great presentation, Lunch and Learn, specifically on the procurement dashboard. So if you're not familiar, if you want to learn more information about what it has and how it can help you, feel free to check that out. Okay, back to you, Irina.
Thank you, Alexa. Procurement dashboard, one of the areas I find very helpful, other than because a lot of it more informative, more analytical, but one of the circles, one of the areas that you will find on a dashboard is called agencies, and that's where we're showing you. You can see your requisitions inventory, not only requisitions that belong to your agency. You can also filter. You would see the filters at the top of the page, and you can filter by specific fiscal year. You can filter by specific dates, and you will be able to see there your if there are any requisitions that have pre-encumbrances, if there are requisitions that are in budget errors that will require your attention. This is especially helpful when we're moving closer to the end of the fiscal year, and you need uh, to source all your requisitions to turn them in purchase orders if you are expecting to receive, or the purchase orders that you expect them to be rolled. It's very important the closer we get to the end of the fiscal year to check your requisitions inventory, because as you know, every end of September around 27, 28, we're putting all requisitions on hold and they're not accessible. So at that point, we would either have to cancel your requisitions or ask you to cancel them if they have outstanding balances, outstanding pre-encumbrances. So it's very good practice to review your requisitions inventory. Common errors and resolutions. So very frequently, especially when you're working with chart fields, you're creating requisitions or purchase orders are being rolled into the next fiscal year, you might experience various error messages, which doesn't they don't mean that it's a technical issue. I mentioned that every agency is being assigned the set of chart fields, one line, multiple lines, and you can only use these chart fields on your distribution lines. If you use something that is different, you will get a budget error. And that's the control in place that allows to have a control over your spending or spending against the specific buckets of money that you are giving every fiscal year, and you can compare it to your bank account. When you make a transaction, you need to go against the specific account with the name, the address, or let's say it's a credit card. If you're trying to purchase something and you put incorrect data, you switch the numbers or you don't put the correct expiration date, that transaction will be rejected. The same thing there. So very often when we hear, okay, my I got an error and a technical ticket is being created, so it assigns to the help desk. Help desk is looking for a specific area where it belongs to, and sometimes that ticket can be traveling for a long time. When if you know that this error is just because of the data entry, or you might not be familiar with the specifics of it, we will provide you the contact list who you can ask in case if you experience the error, which again, most of the times it's just the user data entry errors that needs to be fixed. Sometimes the error when the catalog requisitions are auto-sourced to purchase orders. So catalog requisitions, there are processes running behind the scenes that looking if the requisition is fully approved, valid budget check, valid budget status, and has an item ID. That requisition automatically turns into a purchase order, being copied to the purchase order, which at this time a couple of things are happening. Because when requisition is created, it's taking away money from the budget in the form of pre-encumbrance. When that requisition is copied into a purchase order, uh, it the pre-encumbrance is becoming a zero. That process is offsetting pre-encumbrance and it's creating encumbrance on the purchase order. And then not receipts, but when the vouchers are created, uh, if the voucher is created for the PO total amount, then the encumbrance becomes zero. If there are partial payments, so the money are taking away from the purchase order, or the payments, let's say to the vendors are partial, then the amount of the voucher, the purchase order is being offset by the amount that is on the voucher. So, but not only the requisitions and purchase orders are controlled by the chart fields, which is controlled at the commitment control level, the budget level. They're also controlled by the contract, because the contract has a maximum amount. The contract might have a line maximum amount. And so sometimes when requisition goes into the error, Well, always the error report is being created and distributed across the whole county. And if you see that your requisition is not uh, turned into a purchase order, the purchase order was not created based on the requisition, and it's in an error status in a sourcing workbench, you need to read you need the report, because the report displays the error message, and usually it's either the contract is reached, maybe the contract is in the open status, then the PO cannot be created. Maybe it's the line is being exceeded, there is no balance at the line. um or sometimes the contract can be expired or not renewed. So usually those error messages are pretty much self-explanatory. Sometimes the message might not be really intuitive, and in this case, you might want to talk to the purchasing agent, and they will help you to see what's going on with the PO or the contract, or the item. The item might not might also items also have the expiration dates or PO unavailable date. So again, we will give you the list of contacts, and you can talk to different areas depending on the error that you are experiencing. Basically when to escalate and who to contact. I just said that, and when to escalate if you really see that you cannot fix the error on your own, or it does not or it's not understandable, not too clear for you, then you will have a list of people that you can contact. Alexa mentioned that in the month of April, we're going to have 9 sessions, and in each session we will be more hands-on, and we will be talking about specific areas. It's not going to be a training how to use PeopleSoft, but for people that are working with PeopleSoft but not accessing very often, or might have a specific issues or concerns, we will be talking in details, and on the screen you see different sessions, um, where you will be, but you can send us your wishes, desires, or your concerns, and we will be tailoring these sessions if we get your messages, your emails on what you want to be covered more than something else. We will be able to tailor them. And Alexa is here on the screen.
Yeah, I wanted to chime in on that as well, if I could. So, you see Irina's lovely picture there in the corner. Irina will continue to be our subject matter expert for these sessions. But what we thought would be helpful to you, the end users, the people who are actually using PeopleSoft Financials, is to kind of truncate the information into specific topics. So what we would like for you to do for us to help us make sure that what we are putting out, how we are answering things in those particular sessions are actually questions that you really need help with. So on the screen there, you'll see that we're asking you, at least 1 week prior to each session, if you could send any questions you may have about that specific topic to purchasingtraining@broward.org, and the subject just put PeopleSoft Breakfast, so we kind of know, okay, this is pertaining to PeopleSoft Breakfast in a particular session. Also, we will be sending out this flyer as well. It's going to be in multiple places on the carousel and, Sunny News, etc. We really want to make sure that everybody who is involved with PeopleSoft Financials at any point has the opportunity to kind of get, some of their questions answered. So just wanted to continue to plug that point. Thanks, Irina.
Thank you, Alexa. And yes, we got to the point of questions. We still have some time, so you can put your questions in the chat. Here on the screen, you also see the contact list I was talking about, where is listing different issues or and the areas, and also who would be a contact person or contact group of people. Okay, and you know, if
Irina,
you
I'll
want.
go ahead and read those questions for you. I got a really funny message. Someone said, "Is it real breakfast or picture breakfast?" Let me just clarify. We're not providing breakfast. This is the virtual breakfast. We're calling it PeopleSoft breakfast because it's during the morning time. It's from 10 to 11 on every Tuesday and Thursday in the entire month of April. So that was a great question. So the first question I'm seeing here, if you want to go ahead and transition to that, is that good, Irina? Since we
Yes,
have the
yes, yes,
contact
absolutely.
list there on your screen. Okay, so the first question I'm seeing is if a specialized query is needed, is there someone who can assist in the creation of that query?
So, ERP is the, I cannot say the owner of the owner of all the requests, including the queries. Sometimes my team gets questions. So between ERP and my team, depending on a complexity of the query, or sometimes we can help to find the existing query, not to create multiple queries, or sometimes we can suggest queries that can be leveraged to to create a new query for the specific set of information, set of data that you're looking.
Okay, I
Um,
hope we were able to answer that question. If not, if you need a little bit more information, you can expand on your question in the chat, or you can feel free to send us an email and we'll go ahead and do that as well.
and I see
Before I
Felix
continue,
who wants to
yeah, that's what
comment
I
to
was
that.
going. I was actually going to transition over to Phyllis. I see your hand is raised. Before I continue in the questions, Phyllis, is there something that you wanted to mention?
Yes, just as a caveat to what Irina was saying with regard to a custom query, if you locate a similar query and you need it customized to what you need it to be, the best thing to do would be to go out to BCNet, go to the self-service portal pill, and once you click that, you have the ability to submit a PeopleSoft service request form, and you'll attach a copy of the query and the customized fields that you're looking for, and then that comes into our team and it gets prioritized. So just know that there is a way to request those queries formally through the ERP team. All right, and I'll put that information because I know I kind of blurted it out, but I'll put it in the chat so that you all will have how to do it.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Phyllis. The next question I see here is when I get an error, they are not immediately evident as to what they are. There's usually a pop-up that says something like error 14, comma 42. How can we look up these error codes to fix these problems quickly?
So the error codes usually come at the end of the message. There's always message. There's always a verbiage. It could be shorter, it could be more expanded, but there is always a verbiage. These numbers, error 1442, are coming from, we have a message catalog, and that message catalog is humongous, and those numbers are mostly for the developers if they need to troubleshoot or fix something. So the first number would identify the specific section of that catalog, and then the 42 is there might be multiple items under that specific session. So for example, if the contract is closed. You cannot access the contract. You're getting the message that the contract is not accessible for whatever reason, and at the end, you will find those numbers. But the main answer is in the message itself. Yes, the contract is not accessible. And usually it happens if I mentioned before the sourcing errors, when the requisition is being sourced into a purchase order, meaning when the purchase order is being created from a requisition. If the requisition does not pass, and it's a long list of validations, and that list, every single validation point is listed in the body of the email that is coming to you with the PeopleSoft error report. If you if you will bear with me for a second, please. Okay. I'm trying to, no, I could not locate that report, but usually the not only you receive the Excel spreadsheet with every requisition that did not source to a purchase order, and you have the error message at the end of it. Also, the body of the email is usually notifying which are the what every single validation point, the contract maximum is exceeded, the line maximum is exceeded, the expiration date, and so on. So before you raise that issue to the purchasing team or to the catalogers, you need to see if your requisition is falling is properly created, budget checked, if the contract is in the proper status. So every message, going back to the question, these codes are not applicable to you. You need to read the actual message and then act accordingly depending on what is the verbiage there.
Okay. So the next question I'm seeing is, how can I clear items on my notifications or actions list? Also, this list is extremely slow in response.
Well, the notification action list is, and you're talking about the work list probably. That is a question to the ERP, because sometimes if the list gets very long, someone at ERP, a team who is responsible for the work list, can remove the notifications en masse. Assuming that you're not no longer working with these notifications, because the list can get very long. Phyllis, I know
Hi,
that Phyllis is
Irina.
helping me to make.
I think I can kind of help you with that one. There is a new notifications panel that appears on users' lists, and they have that in addition to the work list. So when they're looking at their screen, that notifications panel is active, and it's not necessarily the badge that you used to see. Those notifications can be cleared, and what I can do is, I'm trying to get logged into one of my lower environments, but I'm getting an error message. So while you're speaking to the next questions, I'll look and see if I can locate those steps and just type the steps into the chat. I do know we covered that when we went live with the PUMs last year. I'll tell you how to clear them out at that time. So give me a few minutes, okay?
Thank you, Phyllis.
Okay, so the next question is, what is the current process to modify a catalog purchase order? I have several sets of instructions, and I'm not sure which is the current. And let me just ask a clarifying question. To modify a catalog purchase order, are you referring to catalog change order requests? Is that what you're trying to ask about? I think
Heidi,
the
you
question
can
is
come up.
from Heidi.
Yes, Heidi, you can come off mute and
She said she needs lines deleted.
well, anything related to the catalog purchase order is usually a request is created for the PO modification team, and in PeopleSoft we have we have PO action under purchasing PO action menu. Anyone from the agency can access the list of their purchase orders and can specify whether it needs to be reduced, the whole purchase order needs to be reduced for the further closure, or lines need to be canceled or reduced. There is a page for that, so you can just navigate there, select your purchase order, and mark anything that is applicable to what you need.
Okay, and Heidi is saying a few months ago, I sent an email and was rerouted. Okay, so Heidi, we'll follow up with you after today's session so you can get a direct response to the issue you're referring to. Okay, the next question I see here is, can we have a session regarding modification and errors on
HSDPP
HSDPP?
purchase orders. Yes, just for everyone to know, HSDPP, which is a Human Services Division, they have kind of a sub-process, sub-module specific, only specific to human services, where they have contracts that are created, not like all the procurement contract under share set ID. They're created under HSDPP, and these contracts do not cross. Purchase orders are created for that specific set ID under HSPO1 business unit, and they're processed by accounts payable, not under BRW01, but under BRW02. So they have a specific set of items that are created, different approval workflow. It's completely standalone processing. And Heather, I will set up a session for that, and we can go over modification and errors because their processing of purchase order is also different from the regular purchase order.
And that wouldn't fall within this PeopleSoft breakfast series. And thank you guys who are asking. I've seen several requests for some personalized help. We can definitely start kind of a list of those of you who are seeking that, and plan accordingly towards that. But what's going to happen in terms of PeopleSoft breakfast is we have noticed that there have been certain areas that people are having challenges in. And we wanted to start off by focusing in there, kind of getting into PeopleSoft, walking you through, some tips and tricks in those areas. And then if, you need some additional assistance, we can definitely proceed down the line with, trying to meet those needs as well. Okay, so the next question I'm seeing, and we have about 6 minutes left, so I'm going to start rapid firing these, Irina, as much as we can get to.
Absolutely.
Who can I contact to add a specific information column to a query that is already created? And I think you kind of talked about this before, about modifying queries.
Yes, and PO encumbrance query is a globally used query. So before we can tell you if anything can be added, because that query is accessing multiple tables, underlying tables. So you can actually send an email to me, and I will be able to answer what can be done or not.
And then Phyllis also made that suggestion as well about, downloading the query, mocking up what changes you need, and submitting that request through her team as well. So that's another option. Okay, I see someone mentioned different queries they use. We have the note here from Phyllis about what I just mentioned about what users can do if they need a specialized query. Thank you, Phyllis. FMD submitted some suggestions to ERP for system improvements. When will we find out if these will be implemented? Okay, so it seems like you're asking some questions to ERP. Maybe that needs to be directed to ERP's team. Or Candace, are you asking something as it pertains to purchasing financials? If you could clarify it for us while I read the next question.
Well, I can tell you that if the purchase order is created, even if it's partially created, it will always dispatch to the, because this is the delivered process and the system recognize if because sometimes if the requisition is created and some of the lines are not, as I was talking earlier, the contract, maybe the line maximum is exceeded, or if the requisition is created and on the lines are different ship to item, ship to codes, the as many ship to, that's as many purchase orders will be created. So the system does not distinguish between the partial or full purchase order. Once the purchase order is created, uh, it's being dispatched to the vendor, and it's in a budget tab, because that's how the process is running behind the scenes. It's also the PO is created, the PO is being budget checked, it's created as pre-approved, and then the dispatch process is one of the last step in that process. And the second view writes RQS POs for agencies to assist with contract management. You might want to ask this question offline, because I need a clarification on that. Okay.
Okay, so that's pretty much our time. Irina, can you go back one slide? Because I want to plug our PeopleSoft breakfast again. If you could go back to that. So again, in the month of April, we have dedicated every Tuesday and Thursday to talk about various PeopleSoft topics, PeopleSoft financial topics that we feel would be of use to you. If you're interested in attending any of those sessions, we have links to each and every one of those on our events calendar or events page on the purchasing BCNet. We are also, again, asking if you are experiencing specific questions or specific issues, if you want us to try to squeeze that into what is going to be discussed during that time, if you could send an email to purchasingtraining@broward.org, and in the subject line, if you could put PeopleSoft breakfast, so we know that these are questions pertaining to an upcoming PeopleSoft breakfast session. Before we leave, I wanted to grab Debbie, if you could. I know you wanted to say something to our audience. Debbie is working alongside the PeopleSoft, the PO Mod team, and I just wanted to give her an opportunity to kind of chime in on anything that has been discussed. And then I see that Phyllis had raised her hand. So let me just let Debbie kind of jump in first.
Thank you, Alexa. And thank you, folks. These questions that you're submitting are really great. We're going to work to build them into these sessions. If we can't, we'll try to answer you personally. So thank you for all of these questions. They help us share the knowledge with you and have resources available for you. Also, if you have or see some questions that you're trying to reach out to PO Mod for CCORs or other issues, please, if you're not getting a response, please give me a call and pick up. A lot of times we may think an issue is resolved, but you are still having trouble with your transaction. So we're here for that personal attention if you need it. And I'm looking forward to seeing your questions about for these sessions come through, so we can help you along your path. That's all I have. One more thing, also, Shalom Sterling Booth is joining the PO modification team. So look forward to receiving communications from her and with her. We're excited to incorporate her into these processes. Thanks, folks. Bye.
Thank you, Debbie.
Thank you, Debbie. And Phyllis, did you have something you wanted to say?
Yes, I just wanted to follow up on the notifications item. My computer decided to do a reboot on me, so I apologize for dropping off that way. With regard to the notifications, if you would like to start clearing up your notifications list, on the notifications panel on your homepage, at the right, across from the word notifications, you'll see 3 dots, which is a notifications menu. Once you click on those 3 dots, you'll click View All Notifications. View all notifications.
Well, I'm in a test environment, but yeah. dessert.
You're okay. You're okay. Now, your action button will not appear until you start selecting notifications that you would like to mark as read. And now you click your actions button.
I was trying to see if I can select all.
You can
Actually,
select
yes,
all.
yes.
Yes. And then you click the actions and you'll either mark them as read or you have, your 3 options there. Okay, usually I just mark as dismissed so that they're just done. Right, and then that clears your list once it's done because you marked a lot, it's gonna be a lot. But mine, in my list, I had 370 or so, and I just cleared them all by just marking them as read, and then I returned to home. And once you return to home, your list should be cleared, or at least reduced.
Thank you, Phyllis.
You're welcome.
All right, amazing. Thank you so much, Phyllis, for that timely. She jumped in to resolve that in real time. We appreciate that. So thank you to all of you who attended today's Lunch and Learn session. Irina, do you have anything to say? Do you to close out, or
No, thank
are
you.
we?
Thank you everyone who attended. It's very important for us to give you as much information as possible to make your life easier. And especially now that we are in the project of sunsetting Contract Central and moving everything to PeopleSoft, you are probably will be spending more time in PeopleSoft, so your understanding is very important for us. And please join us for PeopleSoft breakfast sessions. Thank you, everyone.
Please join us. Thank you for attending today's Lunch and Learn. We look forward to seeing you in April. Bye.